We love supporting and promoting the creators of musical theater throughout the world, and we would love to have your support as well. Go to musicaltheaterradio.com and click on the Become a Patron button because a supportive community is a strong community. Welcome back to another episode of Be Our Guest here on Musical Theater Radio. I am your host, as always, Jean-Paul Jovanov. I think for all of us with social media, we have a love-hate relationship. Too often, I'll read things that just drive me crazy, make me want to throw my computer out the window. But I don't do that for two reasons. First of all, breaking my computer solves nothing, and my ability to counter this stupidity that I read is gone. And secondly, it's my girlfriend's computer, so if I throw it out, she'll kick my ass. So that's the bigger reason, actually, I'll be honest. Then there's the other side of social media, where I meet so many great people. I've met so many wonderful people from around the world, and that's what I stay on social media before. And this includes our next guest. They are the social media manager at Broadway Custom and a whole lot more. They've done so much stuff. And all the way from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, I'd like to welcome Noa Spero. Noa, welcome to the show.
Thank you. That was such a lovely introduction. Wow.
Well, I do what I can to put my guests at ease, and then the hard-hitting questions come.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, social media, though, I couldn't agree more about the love-hate relationship, honestly.
Well, we can get into social media a little bit, but I always start every one of my interviews the same way. Who is Noa in 30 seconds? Give me your 30-second bio.
So hard. I'm only 30 seconds years old. So, okay. I am a college student. I love theater, and I am very passionate and will do whatever I can to do the work that I want to do, no matter what's in my way. That's my entire bio.
Wow, that's like 17 seconds. You have 13 seconds to save. That's wow. Incredible. And then in human years, yes, you may be young, but in social media years, you're old. Because
yeah,
social media.
What's the calculation again? What's the?
I think it's 1 human year equals 10,000 social media years.
That sounds about right. I think that scientifically that's probably accurate.
Probably.
I like to keep my bios short and sweet because I'm 5 foot, so
That's small packages come good things, right?
Exactly.
There you go. Awesome. So let's take it right back to the beginning. And you say you're into musical theater and you're relatively young then. So you should be able to remember this question and how it started. Well, were you always into musical theater, or was that something you grew into later in your years?
No, I wasn't always into musical theater. I was always, we went to community theater productions growing up, and I loved them, but it was never like this is my favorite thing. This is what I want to do. I grew up wanting to be a writer, and I was very committed to that. I was like, I'm going to be a novelist. I'm going to write fantasy books. And I did. I wrote a couple books, and I was like, this is really wonderful. And so for the first good chunk of my 2/3 of my life, I was fully committed to being a writer. I liked going to theater, but it was not a passion. And then I think I saw Newsies. I think it was Newsies that changed things for me. I was like, oh my God, this is I was in like the back of the balcony with my grandparents, and I was so cool. Just the choreography, and obviously Disney knows what they're doing when they make a show. And I kind of it didn't leave my brain, and I kind of was thinking about it for a while, and then I started listening to more musicals and seeing as many as I could. And I kind of got pretty obsessed over the next couple years.
Nice. And these books, are these going to be turned into musicals, do you think? Is there a chance? Are we looking at the future?
Listen. I don't think I would do it. They're pretty wild. They're like intense fantasy.
Yeah.
But you know what? Maybe that's where my worlds collide. Like one of my books becomes a musical. Who knows?
Yeah, because that's the thing. Where anything goes now, pretty much in the world of musical theater. You've got Hamilton. You've got Come From Away. You got Dear Evan Hansen. You've got like everything is free. Carrie. Who would have thought that? Let's take or Evil Dead. What? So
I mean, not that Carrie really worked.
But
let's be honest.
They tried at least twice.
Honestly, it would be an honor for one of my books to be a flop. That would be an honor for sure.
You want to be the Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark of sci-fi novels, then on stage. Take your show, or do you actually want it to be a little bit more successful?
Ah, you froze. I missed what you said.
Oh no. Let's try that again. What did I say? Oh, so you want to be the Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark?
Yes, happily.
Yes. If you're gonna go bad, just go super bad, right?
Exactly. Just a huge failure. Just $90 million wasted.
Can we have a sneak peek of the fantasy novel? Is it like dragon type fantasy novel, or are we talking what? Just so I know what was going to be on stage.
Oh, sure. My first one is like dragon type for sure. The second one is more like X-Men superpowers kind of deal.
Let's go with the dragon one. I think I want a giant dragon.
Like go bigger, you know?
Oh yeah. We want ginormous dragon.
And I wrote it when I was 13, so it came very much out of my imagination, and it's the name of it. I was really obsessed with acronyms, and I was like, I'm going to invent an acronym that doesn't exist. This has never been an acronym before. No one has this acronym, so I called it WASP. So I was like, no, that is not an acronym. Obviously, WASP. That's not an acronym. No one's called that. And I remember telling my older brother, and I'm the youngest, so my brothers were always very matter of fact. I was like, I have an amazing name. I'm calling it WASP. And they were like, that already is an acronym, like a very famous acronym. I didn't care. So, and especially because my acronym made better sense, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
WASP stood for, this very much grammatically makes sense, so don't doubt it, Warrior Academic Society of Pandemonium. Does that make sense? That's what I
cannot disagree with it. So
I also thought wasps looked like butterflies. So I made like a fake cover with a picture of a butterfly. And then just said Warrior Academic Society of Pandemonium, WASP. I thought it was brilliant. I thought I was the only person who thought of an acronym like that.
I can't think of a better time period in history to have the acronym WASP on a musical theater stage.
So I'm saying, I think it'll be an excellent musical. And and then when I'm interviewed for that, then I can be like, well, now I'm actually a big name.
Nice. All right. So you decided to go to college. What did you go to college for? Was it musical theater?
No. I came in as a hardcore English major. I still kind of was denying my, love for theater. Mostly because, I feel like we all kind of grow up this way of like, that's not a way to make money. That's not a career. Are you joking? No. My parents were like, you could get a degree in coding. That's probably a good idea. And I was like, yeah. No problem. That's not hard at all. I really was like, that's not even going to be a problem. And now I have friends who are computer science majors and are dying. But yeah, no, I came in as an English major. And a few weeks in, I was like, no. Hardcore. I'm a theater major. That's it. I took acting second semester. I loved it. I'm a terrible actor, but I loved it. And now I'm a theater major.
So you don't want to be on stage anymore?
God forbid. I don't want to see me on stage. The last time I was on stage in an acting role was in 7th grade, or grade 7, Canada. I played Mrs. Soames in Our Town. And I was a riot, if I do say so myself. It was very funny. But I had a quick change, which it wasn't really, but like I forgot to change. And then it was like I was about to go on stage, and it was really mortifying. I was like half on stage, half off stage, like trying to change into my Mrs. Soames' dead outfit. No spoilers for Our Town. And I don't want to do that again.
You know what? I applaud anybody who doesn't want to be on stage but be a part of theater, because actors are wonderful and you need them. But guess what? Everybody off stage, we need just as much. And that's another reason why I interview people like yourself, because you are the glue that holds theater together. It's the people doing the social media for the show, it's the people doing the box office, it's the stage managers, it's the lighting people, it's everybody. Without, you take one, it's like Jenga, the game, you pull one out, it's going to fall down. You need every single piece to make it work. So thank you for not wanting to be on stage and doing what
You're
you do.
welcome. I did it for you, so.
Well, thanks. Okay, so you're in college right now, right?
Yeah.
How did you get the job at Broadway Custom? How did that work out?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you. Um,
Well, that's the end of the interview then. Thanks everybody for listening.
no. I don't know. I've kind of always been of the mind that young people can do anything.
Mhm.
And I plan to continue to try to encourage people, whatever age they are, that they can go out into the world and do the things that they want to do.
Yep.
So even when I was in the beginning of high school, I was reaching out to, even before I was a theater nerd, I was reaching out to publishing companies. I like pitched my book. I went to writing conferences when I was 15,
Uh-huh.
and was very intimidated. And I would just like do whatever I could to be out there. So I started reaching out to people when I started loving theater as much as I did.
Mhm.
I started reaching out to people in the industry and just being like, "Hey, do you need an intern? I would love to work for you. You're really cool." And it just a lot of cold emailing, which I feel like a lot of the experience in the business.
Yep.
Um, and a lot of no responses. And then I got a couple of responses, and those responses led to, more opportunities. So I started working in theaters in Philly. And then I still don't know how this happened, but I got a job at Today Tix last summer, and that was really awesome. And then, I've been in college, and quarantine hit and everything, and I was pretty resigned about getting a job this summer. I thought there's no way. I had planned on living in New York, and that wasn't going to happen. And then I saw this application on Indeed, and it basically said like theater nerd wanted, and I was like, okay, that's me. And I applied, and then I hit it off with my bosses, and now it's been 3 months.
That's great. You know what? I love stories like that where you just said, you know what, screw it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to try. Because it's funny. And I have a guy on our show, The Sampler Platter. He wrote a musical called Voice of a Generation. He's from the UK. He's in his 70s now. But
Wow.
his beginning was he wanted to play rock and roll. And he saw an ad and he just did it. He just reached out, just like you. Just reach out, do it. He ended up playing 17 years with Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh my God.
So
Wow.
yeah, you never know where it's going to hit. So in 17 years, you might be doing social media for Ozzy Osbourne. Who knows? The
Maybe
Ozzy Osbourne
for it.
musical.
Oh,
Oh,
sure. Yes, maybe.
we might have to remember that and patent that before anybody else takes it.
This will be record for that.
Exactly. Proof that we thought of it first.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. So what do you do at Broadway Custom? And what is your job there?
I wear many hats, actually. But a big part of what I do is I do social media. I run 5 social media accounts, which is very fun. And social media is a constant. It's a bit like a child. You have to care for it pretty constantly to make sure that you're getting out there. And I mean, I know you've experienced this in terms of, starting from nothing. We didn't
Yep,
have a Twitter account. We had a very small Instagram account. And so building those from very small followings, it's been a lot of outreach, a lot of intense and aggressive following.
for sure.
And that takes a lot of time, and it can be tedious. But there are times in social media where I find it to be really, really rewarding, and they're kind of the funny moments for me. Like whenever there's a trend going on, like I'm trying to think of one that I used recently. There was a trend like a month and a half or so ago
Mhm.
where you would take like the top half of somebody's body and then like a model's leg.
Yes.
Do that. So I was like, oh, have to do a musical theater version of that.
Yeah.
So I took Beetlejuice's like top half, and then the Wicked Witch's legs under the house,
Yeah.
because they're both striped. And I put them together, and like it didn't get viral, but we got like 15 likes or something. And it's just, those are exciting. The moments of creativity are the most fun.
Totally agree. Totally agree. It can be so frustrating trying to figure out something that's going to appeal.
Yeah,
Especially since, for example, Twitter, unless you catch it at that second, you almost miss it. Like as soon as you get more and more followers, everything just flies by. I miss so much stuff
for
that I
sure.
probably should get involved with, but
Absolutely. And one thing that I was really excited to post about that no one had posted, as far as I could see, no one had posted about. It didn't get like, get that much attention,
yeah.
but I don't know if you saw this, but YouTube was listing the last 5 years as a comedy, and I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't know who made that call, because in no realm, even the synopsis of the last 5 years wouldn't seem like a comedy.
Yeah.
I feel bad for anyone going into that movie thinking of a story about love lost and divorce, and a marriage that doesn't work out.
Yeah.
That's a comedy.
There are funny moments though in that show. That like the Shmuel song and things like that.
Okay, but I don't know if you define something
No.
with funny moments as a comedy.
No, person probably just threw out a word. Like I have to choose between these 5 options.
Thriller.
Not sci-fi. There's no dragons, so yeah, comedy works. It's a musical comedy. Good enough. So I know I know you never know what's going to hit on social media. Every day I put out a musical theater quiz. I put some pictures and make people guess. Who would have thought that that's taken off? It's so dumb and badly put together because
I love it. I think it's so fun.
Like I don't know how to do what is it? I don't even know the words for it. When you cut and paste things together in Photoshop. Like
Photoshop.
I don't even know the words. So it's me just grabbing pictures and plopping them on. But you never know what people want and play with and have a good time. So
it works. And there are some that I truly don't know. Like I have to cheat and look at the answers.
that's the point. Just have some fun and bring new shows to people that they've never heard of before.
Absolutely.
Cool. So what does Broadway Custom do exactly? Who are they?
Yeah. Broadway Custom is, it's obviously different during quarantine. And we can't do all the things that we normally would do, but Broadway Custom was founded by Sue Gilad and Larry Rogowski. They're Broadway producers behind Jagged Little Pill, Moulin Rouge Company, most recently. And they started the company because they wanted to provide a customized, exclusive Broadway experience to young people. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of, places out there that will allow you to have like some sort of Broadway experience, whether a summer thing or like a backstage tour, but they're often, we offer something different because we limit our numbers and we make sure that we get to know each participant. So we're actually doing a virtual summer program this year. And we are only allowing 15 participants, because this way our artistic director can call each of them and their parents, each kid, it's for 10 to 18-year-olds, get to know them, get to know where their skills are, and establish goals together for where they can get to at the end of the summer.
Wow, that's very cool.
Yeah. And it's really just everything is based on who these kids are. So we're creating these, like Broadway goodie bags that we're sending, but we're not just sending any Broadway merchandise. We're sending specific merchandise for shows that the kids love. So if one kid says that they love Beetlejuice, then we're going to have a Beetlejuice day. We're going to focus on Beetlejuice. And one kid says that they love Rent, then we're going to do a Rent day. And then we're going to try and get, someone in one of the Rent casts to send them a personalized message, or try and get, someone in the Beetlejuice to send a personalized message, because we really want these kids to feel like they're seeing something specifically for them.
Wow, that would be such an experience for a Broadway loving kid. That's an experience for a Broadway loving person in general. You don't even have to be a kid. This the fact that you've got this concept, and then it's tailored for each individual kid, almost with their loves and dislikes and all that sort of thing. Wow. And how long has that been around for? Like, how long have they been running
Not
that?
actually. Last year was the first year. There was a program through there was a program that wasn't our own company that like Sue and Larry worked on. But we started our own week-long program last year, and this is the second year. And it was hard to decide whether to do it virtually. But we decided it was a good idea because, we might not be able to offer everything
Mhm.
that we want to. We can't go to an actual Broadway show. We can't, stand on a Broadway stage. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Um, but that doesn't mean that we can't still speak to each kid and speak to their passion, um, and share a really cool experience with them.
Well, have you been getting international interests from that? Because now that you've opened it up online, right? The world is your oyster. And because when it was last year, obviously you had to be in New York, you had to be able to get there,
Exactly.
etc. And this is now the world is open. Have you been getting international interest?
Yeah, well, we have one girl signed up who's from Vancouver, which is funny. It's not that international, but it is. It's in Pacific time.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so we've been definitely fielding interest from around the world. It's obviously the time difference still,
Mhm.
plays a part. Um, and right now we're doing 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. because you know, we want to try and be okay with Pacific and Eastern,
Yeah.
but still Pacific, that's 7 a.m. That's so early.
Yep.
I know you work with people in like London and Australia, and those are wild time
Oh
differences,
yeah.
both of them.
But, but no, that's incredible that these kids have been able to get this experience. So, can you say some of the names that have agreed to, come on and visit these kids, or some of the shows that might get involved with this, or is this hush hush and we can't tell
It
because the
is a
kids
little
might be listening?
they might be listening. Honestly, it is like that though. We're trying to keep it pretty quiet.
Cool.
We collect their like, dream roles and their favorite shows and their favorite actors, and we're like working with artists now, but it is unfortunately hush hush. But the coolest thing about this job for me is that in so many ways a lot of my career, if I'm going to use such an adult word, um, has been reaching out to people and mostly not getting responses. And when I do get responses, it's, wildly exciting.
Yeah.
And at this point, the kind of outreach that I've been doing for the company, I'm talking to cool Broadway folk like yourself
Yeah.
all the time. And it's a great pleasure of my life. And yes, I'm talking to a lot of people about like, business and the company and what we can do for each other, but it's still really amazing to be involved in I just feel like I'm involved in the industry.
Yeah. So you just said that it's sometimes you can't get a hold of these people, and is that a normal thing? Because I've found it's really hard to, you know, get get attention from these people, to just talk to them and things like that. Have you noticed why? Like, because I can't figure out why this community doesn't want to support each other sometimes. Is it because they might be just big stars, or and they just don't want to deal with people sometimes, or have you found any experience?
I don't know. I think at this point maybe part of it is also, especially artists are they don't have jobs, they don't have income
Mhm.
right now. So it's very possible that they're only fielding emails that are offering them money
Sure.
or, offering to pay them in some way. And I think that's not crazy. Um, because if they have no reliable income right now, and you're just asking them to collaborate,
Yeah.
they might want to, but they can't afford to.
Sure. Personally, and this is just me, I would look at it the opposite way of, I'm doing nothing. I've got no money coming in. What else would I be doing? Right. And if I have this opportunity, you never know where it's going to lead to and who you're going to meet. Right. Just like, I'm talking to you, you're talking to me. You never know who you're going to be able to now parlay this into a conversation with. Right. I don't throw away opportunities when they're, handed to you. So, but that's just my personal opinion. But I understand if, you don't want to do it because you're not getting paid or whatever the reasons are. So anybody you've reached out to that has just been so fantastic and great people to talk to, because you've obviously probably reached out and talked to lots of people in the industry. Anybody who's just been like, oh, they're awesome. I love this person.
Wow, honestly, so many people. It's been what's been most exciting for me is, um, we've been doing a lot of social media takeovers with young Broadway actors because
Mhm.
I think I think they're especially inspiring for our younger audience, and the kids that we're hoping to attract. Just to see that, no matter how old you are, you can like live out your dreams, whether it's on Broadway or whether it's in community theater, whether it's, being Little Red Riding Hood and Into the Woods, or Annie and your small theater production. It's still really exciting. There are a lot of things you can do,
Yeah.
and there are a lot of things to learn from these really young, really passionate people. Um, so those have been really fun, and all the kids and all the parents that I've interacted with are lovely and kind and so sincere. One that I really love is this young man named Max Bartos. I don't know if you know him.
Did he sing on your channel on
Yeah,
Broadway? You think it's with a guitar or something like that? Yeah, I
yeah,
just watched it like an hour ago.
he's wonderful. He is well, if Broadway were open, he would be playing Darren in Sing Street, and making his Broadway debut.
Mm,
And I've known about him for even before Broadway Custom, just from following him, and before he was on Broadway, before he was off Broadway, just he's really passionate and really talented.
yeah,
Um, and now he's made his dreams a reality, and it's so cool. And through reaching out to him, we've become friends. Um, and that's so exciting to me. I'm excited for it to no longer be cool that I'm friends with Broadway people, because it's
yeah,
just like, yeah, because I'm a Broadway person too.
yep. It's that moment when you go, you're so much a fan, you're just there. I used to work in the radio industry, and sometimes I'd meet famous people and be like, eh. Yes, they're famous, but I'm like, they're human too. So I would, just talk to them or whatever, or comedians and things like that. And yeah, it's interesting when that switch happens when
So, did you have anyone, I mean, just to echo the question back
yeah.
at you, was there anyone who really stood out to you as just like, this is a wonderful person, and I didn't know that?
We're going back. Somebody who was just really nice and sweet. I didn't spend a lot of time with her, but she seemed really genuine. Was Sporty Spice. So when she went out on her own, I was at the radio station, and we were out, and she was just sitting there, and we were talking a little bit. But yeah, just she seemed like a genuine person in that moment. So it was great.
That's not Mel B.
No, that's uh Mel C.
Mel C.
Yeah, Sporty.
Okay.
So she was just really nice. Who else? In the comedy world, do you know Colin Mockery from Whose Line Is It Anyways?
I don't.
No, he's a big Canadian improviser. He did stuff in the UK and in the States on the Drew Carey's, Whose Line, et cetera, et cetera. I was running a photo booth, and we were doing a roast of him. My brother-in-law put together this giant roast, and it was, I think he was trying to put on a TV show for it. That's irrelevant. We were running a photo booth, and he sat in the booth for an hour and let people come in and sit with him. And
Wow.
he was just the nicest guy. It didn't hurt that he had wine in his hand the whole time, but it was just great guy because he sat there for an hour taking pictures. So yeah, I've been lucky with a few of the people I've met, and last week I met Tim Rice because of our show.
Crazy. It's
I
so
know,
cool.
but now it's just like, okay, it's Tim. I just talked to, okay, Tim, can you do this, that, and all the other people who were involved with the thing I was doing, and it's like, yeah, eventually it just becomes, yeah, these are just people, and
I'm not there yet, but I think it'll be cool when I get there.
you'll get there. Don't worry. It'd be like, okay, yeah, it's just, yeah, I'm talking to XYZ. I'm talking to, or XYZ, sorry, down there. Or whatever. I got to talk your language. I'm talking to you in Philly. So
Yeah, so it's you have to say wooder also, because that's how we say it in Philly.
I'll try to remember to do that. So let's take it back. You've got the kids event. If it was you, what would that show be for you and that person?
Oh
If
my
you
gosh.
Because if you talk about Beetlejuice, you talk about Rent, is there a show that you'd be like, oh, I want to
There's
meet?
definitely an artist who I would have been, and I have dropped this to my bosses, just like, I love deeply Annalie Ashford.
Okay.
She's the coolest, most brilliant, most positive person. And so I guess along those lines, I'd have to go with Sunday in the Park.
Yes.
I'm a diehard Sondheim fan. And yeah, I think those would be the ones I'd list. If I had to say something that's currently on Broadway, as someone writing down all this information for these kids, the
Yeah.
ones that are currently on Broadway are easier to deal with because
Obviously.
we can get the merchandise a lot in a lot simpler way.
Mm.
Something currently on Broadway,
Nobody's asking for Carol Channing and Hello Dolly 1962 or anything like that.
surprisingly, our 10 to 18-year-olds, no,
No,
not.
that's wow. Okay, we need
Isn't
to
that
educate them.
crazy? That's the point of the program. I'm trying to think what is on Broadway. I mean, they're just really most of what's on Broadway are things that I didn't see but wanted to. So like anyone from
Yeah.
Company was. I mean, it looked like it was going to be brilliant, just with Patti LuPone and
Yep. I know. I know. What are you gonna do? And nothing's coming back as announced today, as our listeners will know, Broadway's closed for the rest of 2020. The announcement was made today. How so let me ask you, Noah, how does that affect your job or your producers or the shows that you're working with? How does that going to affect it? And do you know, or is it so new that you're all trying to figure it out still?
yeah, I think in the producing world is still it's quiet about it.
Mhm.
So like the nitty gritty is like I'm not privy to. But I mean, for me, it's really more personally upsetting than anything else.
Mhm.
For my job, social media is like New York, in that it never sleeps. And it'll, I have a lot of friends who've been applying to jobs, and they're saying there are no jobs other than marketing positions because that's really most of what you can do right now. It's something that is accessible remotely. It's accessible online. Um, so honestly, my job isn't so deeply affected, especially because I've been doing the work I've been doing totally online this entire time. There was no shift for me.
Mhm.
Um, but personally, it's upsetting. I I live in Philly, which I don't know what your like knowledge of geography is, but it's about a 2 hours on a good day bus ride to the city. And it's always been, it's a tradition for me. I go as frequently as I can. I spend the day. I go to Schubert Alley. I go to the bookstores, and um, it's I always like have a blast. And I particularly like seeing shows alone. I don't know how you feel about that, but
Yep.
I like seeing shows alone more than I like seeing them with anyone else. Um, and it's always it just feels like a rite of passage every single time. So losing that is really it's tough, and I can't even imagine going back to New York and then walking down Broadway and seeing everything dark.
I know that it would be crazy to go. And yeah, I don't even know when I'll be able to get down because the border. I have the problem. The
Right.
borders are closed, right? At least technically, you could probably jump on a bus still and head up to New York. There's nothing to do because it's all closed, but
Yeah.
you could do that. I don't have a clue if I'm ever getting back in the next, I don't even know, a year. Like, who knows when I'll be back, right? So
Crazy.
it is, we roll with it, and you know what? This isn't the first pandemic that's happened in the history of the world, and theaters come back from it.
True. That's the
So,
inspiring thing, how the Schubert saved Broadway during the Great Depression, and
mhm.
that was such a tough time, and all of the theaters easily could have gone under, easily, but the Schuberts, saved us.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, I believe that Broadway will come back. It's just, I think the toughest moment was when the day of the Tonys, when
Mhm.
it was just like this was supposed to be our, day of celebration, our
Yeah.
Broadway night, and it wasn't.
Yeah, and there won't be a Tony's next year, and probably because we've had no shows. Like, how do you put on, like, that might be 2 years of no nominations or anything like that. But
Brutal.
again, you know what? If it might be better in the long run, obviously, because if we can survive as a species and not get sick, right? It's in the in we have to, we love musical theater, we love theater in general, but in the bigger picture of things, as long as we look at it that way.
And then there's also the point of, how much great art is going to come from this time, which is,
Yes.
it's a silver lining that's there. I think there will be the writers who don't normally have time to do their writing, or
Mhm.
who, are normally being called in so many other directions. Now they have, and maybe not the time, but at least the space.
Yes.
They don't have anywhere else to go. So,
Yep.
I imagine, maybe Tony Kushner's writing another Angels in America, and
Yeah.
maybe Stephen Sondheim, he's old, but he's still kicking. Maybe
Yeah.
he's writing another Gypsy. I don't know.
Yep.
Um,
And we've discovered new technology that if this pandemic had hit, nobody be doing any of this stuff. We've taken a step back, but we might have been able to move 2 steps forward with the technology. And like you said, we have time to write now and things like that.
Absolutely. And, Zoom is interesting, but I think also a lot of just being on the side of being in school, doing school over virtual networks is difficult. But my acting class this past semester, you wouldn't think it would be well run virtually, but it was excellent. It was one of my best classes. We had so much fun with it, and there are a lot of ways that you can play with Zoom and improv.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm an assistant producer for a theater company at a university here in Toronto, and yeah, we're trying to plan our season for next year, and we don't know if we're going to be able to physically get into it. Are we going to have to do it this way? Everything's so up in the air, and are students even going to go back to school?
Right.
Like, and then how do we do it? Like, there's just so much for running a company that you have to think about, and it's crazy. But again, we're going to learn how to do this, and we'll be better at it once the pandemic's done,
Yeah.
with everything. So cool. Well, so tell us, can people still sign up for the kids classes? Is it still
Yeah.
possible?
Yes, it is more than possible. We are taking registrations until I think mid-July. And it's really until it fills up, and we're getting there. But we even if this isn't the year that we can fit someone in, we will figure out a way to do it next year. And
Cool.
yeah, it's just on any of our social media sites, or on our website, broadwaycustom.com. You can register for the program.
Cool. And we will share that on our social media so people will get out there and listen
Thank
to
you.
it and learn about it and all that sort of thing. So Noah, thank you so much for coming on today and talking to me about yourself and Broadway Custom and everything, and just what's going on in your life from a lover of
Thank you
theater.
so much.
Oh,
I'm so honored.
no problem. But before we go, I asked 3 questions of every one of our guests. Now, there's no right or wrong answers, but there is a wrong answer. So
Okay.
just to give you a heads up. All right. Are you ready for these 3 questions?
I'm ready for these 3 questions.
No prep to the head. You are just coming in cold. Question
Yeah.
number 1, no context. Lloyd Webber or Sondheim?
Sondheim.
Yeah, I
Not
knew
a
that answer.
question.
And why Sondheim?
I think his lyrics are brilliant. His music is unbelievable.
Mhm.
The way he writes, and the way he writes about writing in his autobiographical Finishing the Hat and Look, I Made a Hat, he's incredibly impressive, and his writing is just the kind that it needs to be sung
Yeah,
to express how beautiful it is.
nice. Good answer. There's no right or wrong for this one because it's totally opinion, and they're so completely different that
Mhm.
the only thing that really shares a birthday.
Exactly. It's
So
the funniest thing. It's the funniest thing in theater.
I know. What are the chances of these 2 mega stars Yeah, sharing birthday. There's something on that day. We should check to see if anybody else born on that day is good at writing musicals as well.
I wish I were born on that day. It would be a good day.
Then you can all get together and celebrate, and that would be awesome. Somebody should put together a 2-hour concert for you for your next birthday. Then
21. It'll be an 8. It's a big year.
that is a huge year. So 21. I don't even remember that. But then again, I don't remember last week. So I'll be honest, my memory's crappy. All right, question number 2.
Yes.
If you could do social media for one musical theater character, which one might it be? And it can be, for fun reasons, for political reasons, whatever reason you want. If you could choose any character in musical theater and you want to do social media for them.
That's such a fun question. Oh my God. Yeah, I have no idea. I feel like it's got to be someone who'd be really like. There are characters who would be good at it, but I would want to do someone who's like really ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know who I feel like would have a really interesting social media campaign? I feel like Dolly Levi. I feel like she would really. I mean, she has so many businesses to promote.
Yeah.
I feel like she would be fun to run social media for, and she has a lot of opinions. I feel like it would be a lot of like managing her and making sure that she's not saying anything too crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna take Dolly.
That's a great answer.
Thank you.
Yes, for her businesses and just her personality, and yes, so that's nice. See, on the spot, you came up with that.
I try.
All right, so that's another correct answer. Last questions, most important question of them all.
Yes.
Audience members eating food in the theater, yes or no?
When?
When they're in the theater.
Well, intermission or during the show?
During the show.
It's an important question because I'm not going to draw a line at intermission. I do think it's fair if people get hungry. During the show, absolutely not. I have been many times next to or behind or in front of people who are unwrapping things very loudly. And it is painful. It's because there's no right way to do it. If you're unwrapping something, if you try and do it really quickly, it's very loud. If you try to do it very slowly, it's very loud for a longer amount of time.
Yeah.
So you're like, no, I'm being very surreptitious, just like quietly. It's horrible. It's a horrible sound. It disrupts everything. But I would say I would prefer someone eating than singing.
Well, that is quite annoying. Yes. Yeah.
I was at a show and these 2 women in front of me were singing along with the entire thing, and it was horrible. It was so annoying. And during intermission, one of them was like, people probably don't want to hear us sing. They didn't come to hear us. I'm like, correct. You got it. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
I wish it would affect your actions, but
Wow. Yeah, that is probably worse than food, because food has only a finite amount of time. They're going to sing. They're going to yeah.
I'll take with kids though. I will accept kids singing is better than kids eating. The rules are different.
Yeah, because I saw SpongeBob, and that is a completely different atmosphere with.
Right. I saw Frozen, and seeing kids sing during Frozen is really sweet. I just, Disney has their own little intro before the show starts. They're like, if this is your first show, we hope you'll make theater your home. They said that over the loudspeaker. It was so sweet. And if it means that kids are getting involved in theater and they're enjoying the experience, sing the whole time.
Maybe they should have, like, for shows like Frozen and SpongeBob, just one night for adults only. So then we have no kids singing for Frozen, and then for SpongeBob, adults might be indulging in dumb things to make the experience a little more fun. Just say for SpongeBob, but yeah, maybe that's something that could be looked at. I don't know.
Yeah,
but I agree about the singing part. I am totally no on the food in the theater, only because A, it's annoying, but B, people don't clean up after themselves.
That's accurate. That's true.
That is the part that drives me the most insane. Like, you can't pick up your 2 glasses of wine and throw them in the garbage.
Something that I appreciate about people not being clean in theaters is the number of leftover playbills. They're such keepsakes, and I don't understand why people leave them in the aisles. but it's terrible for the people, for the ushers and,
Yes.
the house management who have to clean it up. Yes.
Yep.
But I volunteer ushered at Kiss Me Kate.
Hmm.
And when you volunteer usher, they don't give you a playbill, but you do see the show. So I was committed to getting a playbill and I was a little worried about it. I shouldn't have been. There were 1,000 on the floor.
Yep.
And another keepsake are Broadway sippy cups. I love Broadway sippy cups. Do you know how many there were on the floor? I just took one because why not?
Yep.
People didn't want them. I did.
I know. It's true. I don't understand people. I don't understand them. Right.
Not enough of an appreciation for the treasures. Everything when they like throw confetti in theaters, I pick it up because it's like, more theater stuff.
Well, at least they're going to the show. I'll give them that. At least they're going.
Yes, exactly.
And that's all we can ask of people. That is 3 correct answers to 3 questions. So congratulations. No prizes because I'm poor. I'm in theater. Let's be honest. But again, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us today about everything that you do and are involved in. And let's keep in touch for sure.
Please. And thank you so much for having me. It was so wonderful.
Awesome. All right. That was Noa Spero from Broadway Custom talking to us about her love and life that is theater. And next week, tune in because we're going to be talking to more people and about their love, life, and passion that is musical theater. So until next time, I'm still Jean-Paul Jovanov. This is Be Our Guest on Musical Theater Radio, and I will see you when I see you.